So Undertaker, the GOAT, greatest of all time, he's set to compete in the Elimination Chamber. And earlier he was concerned the pyro, the flames for his entrance, were too close. So Taker addresses it with the pyrotechnics guy and he brushes it off. Didn't take the concern seriously. Guy should have listened as during the entrance Undertaker was set ablaze. This wasn't part of his intro. This wasn't fake. This was for real. He very nearly died that night. Excuse raising my voice, that level of ignorance is inexcusable. Taker had every right to be furious. According to everyone there, he didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just said if that guy isn't looking for a job the next time Taker sees him, he will kill him. Needless to say, it was considered the wiser option for the pyrotechnician to be fired, rather than risk Mark Calloway putting him 6 feet under. For the 6 of you who played through WWE 2K20's My Career mode, you know how vile Brooklyn Von Braun is. For everyone else, 2K has this strange habit of breaking kayfabe to tell the story. The wrestlers really do have it in for you, not as part of a wrestling storyline. It's not just The Undertaker beating down Daisuke Kirichi. It's Mark Calloway genuinely wanting to destroy the Moondust 2's career. And for 2K20, they almost set out to create the biggest heel in wrestling history. Brooklyn Von Braun went from school bully to tormenting Kurt Angle. Her actions went far, far past Stone Cold Steve Austin sleeping during Lance Storm's match. She bought up orphanages and puppy shelters so her so-called charity would feed her ego, then brag about shutting them down. And all throughout career mode, she had a raging personal vendetta against your characters, Red and Trey. Brooklyn Von Braun really wanted to destroy their careers, even bringing up Tree's dead parents and Red covering for him. Unless you're Taker, anytime you bring up death in wrestling, you're playing with fire. And for Brooklyn to use the very real deaths of his parents in her personal feud, it got dark. And to get half the roster involved in her very real feud, we'll have Jericho put it,
"You just made the list!"
Derek Chauvin confessed. He had a history of complaints against him, so I understand. To me, it looks like a pattern that tragically resulted in untold grief over the past 3+ years. You know, it's probably no secret that I'm a hardcore gamer. That I love to play dress up. Probably the biggest cosplayer in the world. You probably even know that I love anything that's related to flight. Anything to do with fighter planes. That's because it's something I could never do, but I would love to follow in the footsteps of my hero. Hellenic Navy fighter pilot Plutarchus, Lieutenant Commander Alessandra Ann Taryn Stavros. My big sister. You're asking me what my top 5 games of all time are? That's a tough question. Do we go with what are actually the best or our faves? Well, Ace Combat would have to be on there. Let's include the entire series. Skyrim has to be on there. Number 3, Dragon Age Origins has the most charm and, dare I say it, the most teeth in showing the Dark World. It directly references and yes, of course I get why later games don't, but I think don't dance around it. If you're discussing then call it Sorry. Number 4. How about Wing Commander? Charming characters, meaty story, and what it did to push computing prowess. And number 5. How not GTA, not Fortnite, not Call of Duty. What do I personally like? Super Metroid, not just as a solid game, but for Samus Aran. Without her, we wouldn't have the characters we do today. We all take part in the culture wars. We don't like ours, but we sure hate yours. No women in media unless they're whores. Let the bodies hit the floor. On a more serious note, take Dragon Age. It directly references rape. In fact, one story begins with a rape party and portrays rape as the evil it is. Some people are very uncomfortable with rape. I would like to think most everyone would be. Some cannot even handle the word rape or allusions to it, dancing around it. Should Dragon Age be censored? With that said, for many of these culture warriors, their wounds are self-inflicted. They only have themselves to blame. They know the content of, say, The Witcher or Overwatch won't be to their liking. It's too woke for them. How dare they rename one of the characters? To them he will always be named after a sexual predator. But they love rubbing their faces in the content they hate. Love hate watching or hate playing. So any butthurt they get is really their own fault.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. Don't just get him out of the ring. Get him out of the WWF, because I proved, son, without a shadow of a doubt, that you ain't got what it takes anymore. You sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers, and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. All he's got to do is go buy him a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and try to get back some of that courage he had in his prime. As the king of the ring, I'm serving notice to every one of the LWWF superstars. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and that's Stone Cold's list, and I'm fixin' to start running through all of them. As far as this championship match is considered, son, I don't give a damn if it's Davey Boy Smith or Shawn Michaels. Steve Austin's time has come, and when I get the shot, you're looking at the next WWF champion, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. It's a couple of weeks. Having passed now, everyone has given their thoughts, been asked their thoughts about Vince McMahon. The details I want to spare people, but they are meant to involve rape and trafficking. And thing is, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say about it? What do you want to hear? I think my best take is from the perspective of a performer, of someone in the business. We were looking to do a show. Full Metal were absolutely all in on this Oliver Whittle character, bringing in his friends, classmates, people who are part of that storyline. When we learned of the news, and last I hear was dread over the people involved. What would happen if they were guilty? What should happen? What if they were innocent? Could they ever be in wrestling again? And the answer is no, sadly, of course they can't. Even if Vince McMahon did nothing wrong, he will have that stigma. We ended up not doing shows for a week. Some of the management disappeared. Vander was there, he was working on creative, trying to process it, thinking if he put what people wanted or needed to hear in our words, then it would help. Looking at ways to involve me. Get me on the show more. Get Ariane on if I'm too big. Management did return and it wasn't the rape case. No easy way to put it, call it what it is. It wasn't the allegations that was the reason. They were just so invested in Oliver Whittle that even doing the show got sidetracked. Which was great, that was the reason why. Because they loved the character that much, the storyline that much, and not being distressed. In all fairness, they probably could use the distraction from what happened. Much better to think about their man crush than what Vince supposedly did. Gamers, serious hardcore gamers, may recall a series called Wing Commander. A series that ended with a movie before I was even born. Many would know that I'm also a gamer, into flight sims to honor my big sister. With so many more advanced and possibly better games out there, why do I have such a love for them? As well as the novels, the cartoon, the games by and large being great, what really got me into them was the fact CD Projekt Red are fans. Cyberpunk 2077 makes that clear. One of the gangs in the game is named the Tiger's Claw. Okay, innocuous in and of itself. Of course I had to play the most hyped and anticipated game of all time, and full credit goes to Susie Hunter, the Sphere Hunter, Catmom, for her detailed review and love of the game enticing me to buy it. Well, you can play guitar in your apartment. Okay, that ties into Johnny Silverhand and Samurai. Hey, the game has Japanese influence. Okay, fair. One of the big gangsters in the game is named Maiko. That rang a bell, having studied my history including Wing Commander, the characters, pilots, story, and lore. Associate of the Tiger's Claw, named Maiko. Suspicious. One of the villains of Edgerunners, the anime of the game, is named Tanaka. A Japanese setting where you can play guitar has a gang named the Tiger's Claw, with the associated villain named Maiko and another villain named Tanaka. Come on now. and with such a obvious reference that even I could see it, I took another look at the games. In detail, Academy. The story of how Blair was on trial for treason. How Angel went from a nerd with a big heart to a more humanist commander fitting for Yolanda Gillette as we saw her in Diving In. Yes, I am that much of a fan. Enough so that I'm getting others to take part in fan projects.